Okay, really excited to have somebody who I hope to have on from time to time. She's in our building now and with a new network. Her name is Karina Yapor, and she is the executive producer and host of Voz News, right?
Correct,
right?
yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
I barely can speak English. So, and Voz means vote. Right?
No,
voice.
Voice.
That's right,
Yes.
voice.
Yes, it means voice.
So this is a new Spanish language television network. The problem that we all know is Telemundo is, I think there's that Univision is NBC. One of them is NBC. Hispanics are they have no choice but to be indoctrinated when they're watching Spanish television. And Karina is the news anchor on something that begins tonight. So tell us about it.
Yes, so excited, and thank you for having me here. It's an honor to be here with you guys.
Thank you.
And you said it perfectly. Unfortunately, for decades, the Hispanic community has been getting their news for these two major networks, Telemundo, owned by NBC, and Univision. And unfortunately, in the recent years, these two networks have walked away of representing the Hispanic values. And some people think or maybe wondering, why do we see the same headlines all over the place? I have worked for both. I worked almost 7.5 years for Telemundo, and then almost 8 years for Univision as well. So I know this firsthand. And the thing is that, for example, Univision, when they don't cover the news directly, they work with a platform called CNN Newsers, which means that they get all the videos, press releases that they don't cover directly from CNN. So that's why you see the same headlines that and the same rhetoric that CNN uses. And that's a problem. And to me, honestly, as a Christian woman, as an immigrant, as a Hispanic woman, it was hard for me to see that. And I always wanted to be a light in the darkness for my community. And I try to make the difference. And that's why we are launching Voz News tonight, because we really need to provide the Hispanic community a non-biased perspective, conservative perspective of the news, so they can really understand what's going on and they can really make better decisions for their lives and for their families.
You know, George Soros just bought a radio group that has some of the biggest Spanish-speaking Spanish-speaking stations in the nation. You're getting the George Soros look at things if that firewall isn't dirt strong. That's not going to help. The left has made a move for the Hispanic viewpoint. Is this the first time anybody's made a real conservative effort and a real effort?
It is. And you know what? We're going to be the only nationwide newscast in Spanish with a conservative perspective. And, you know, that's unbelievable because in the English-speaking world, there are several options, and you guys are here to fill up those gaps, providing non-biased information for your listeners and your audience. But the Hispanics didn't have that. And we have to recognize that some of them work 1 or 2 jobs or even 3 to be able to provide for their families. They don't have the time to do their own research. Yeah. And a lot of times they watch these TV networks because they like novelas, like the series, Hispanic series, because they feel attached to their culture and all of that. And they just listen the rhetoric that they use in the news. And I remember one example on the last presidential election when they were saying, the headline was that Republicans were pushing against voting rights for minorities. And I remember myself reading this press release that our producers provide us. And I was, reading along, and I couldn't find anything that was trying to, to restrict voting rights.
Right.
And I have to tell you, it is even harder to vote in Mexico. In Mexico, you only got 1 day to vote. There's no early voting, nothing like that. And there's only one kind of ID, the voter ID, that you need to use to be able to vote. So when I was reading this, I was like, what are they talking about? Here we have primary election, we have anticipated election, we have several options of IDs that we can present. So all of that, to me, looked pretty reasonable. And I couldn't find something that was really the headline that they were presented. But again, it was taken from CNN, and unfortunately, it's what Hispanics were receiving. And nobody want to be unliked or not wanted or the rights to be taken away. So
Hispanics are very pro-family, very pro-God.
Absolutely.
They are in the old days, when my wife's family came over from Italy, it was in New York, and it was the full talk with your hands Italians. And, there were some bad guys, but there were a lot of just great families. That culture has just melted into ours. But They restored us. Many of these immigrants always restore us because you've been someplace else and you know what it's like elsewhere.
Exactly, Glenn. And I have to tell you, we love God. We love our family. Those are the two main cores of the Latino culture and the Hispanic values. There's nothing more important than those two things for us. And you know what? There are more than 36.2 million Hispanics eligible to vote this year. And Hispanics are having families. We like big families.
Yeah.
So that's why it's very important that they really understand what's going on in politics and they can make informed decisions.
So how are you going to, where do people find you? How are you going to let everybody know in the Hispanic community?
Absolutely. So we're launching Voz News, which means voice, tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Central, through Daystar Espanol. We are very, very blessed that we are partnering with Daystar because, of course, this is a huge Christian network. And I have to tell you, they launched the Espanol Spanish channel a year ago, and they are reaching 14 million Hispanic households in the United States. And they even reach a total of 90 million households, counting the U.S., Mexico, and Latin America. So I think that's important. And another very important topic is the illegal immigration, for example. So we want to really inform for people who will be watching in South America, Central America. We want to tell them the truth because unfortunately they are being told that they can get here illegally, get everything for free, and all of that. And that's not the reality. People needs to know. We have correspondents interviewing them, walking with them and interviewing them. And there's people organizing these caravans of illegal immigration. That doesn't happen all of a sudden. So we need to provide facts. And it's important for them to know and realize that that's not the truth, that they need to stay there, that they need to follow a legal process. Because honestly, illegal immigration is impacting Hispanics as much as it's impacting anybody else.
So I've done this for a very long time, and I have seen my share of death threats and everything that goes along with it. You being Hispanic, speaking Spanish, having it going through South America, Central America, Mexico, and here in America, you're messing with some very powerful people.
Absolutely.
You're aware of that, and how are you going to deal with that?
Well, I am, and I have to tell you that the Lord is my strength, and I am so grateful because this is a calling. I'm so grateful. Orlando Salazar, he is our CEO. He's in the cattle business. He doesn't have any need of getting involved in media, but he got a call from the Lord and he was obedient. And that's how I met him. And to me, it was a prayer answer because as I told you, I wanted to be a light in the darkness that we're living in this world, not only here in the United States, but in the world. I know the blessing of being able to be in this country. I have to tell you, I love the United States of America. I was born in Mexico, and it took me 19 years. I just became a U.S. citizen after 19 years of following different legal processes. My children were born here, and I just feel I can see the difference in the opportunities, in the safety. Of course, no country is perfect, but America, to me, is the best country in the world. And I feel so bad that people here don't realize that because they haven't experienced what we have experienced in Mexico and other countries.
I know. So tell me how Hispanics here in America that have come here the right way, how do they view the border situation?
Well, they don't like that because, of course, that is making their legal processes taking longer. There's, Hispanics that have came here in the legal, following a legal process, and probably they are requesting now their parents to live with them right. In the legal way, and they have to pay, they have to wait, and unfortunately, or people that have an asylum, a real threat, and now they are being left behind because all this illegal immigration and people claiming asylum when they don't really have a case.
I would think that one of the things that you would come for, because this is why business came to America, is we had laws and they were equally applied. Yes. And we've become this lawless nation on so many fronts. And I would imagine people who have lived this before can see this and go, what are you doing?
Absolutely. So, Glenn, for example, a lot of people left their countries because of the violence. So now seeing that there's, violent people crossing the border, doing what we saw they're doing in New York, for example, beating police officers. Crazy. And then walking away. No one wants that, not even the Hispanics. We don't want the bad people. We want the good people to be here regardless of their ethnicity or race. And, most Hispanics are very, very hard workers, family-oriented. We have helped building this country as well. We contribute, the majority of us. So we don't want this country to be messed up because this is a country that it's been a hope for us and for the rest of the world, and we want to preserve that.
So what time do you, it's 7 o'clock Eastern time?
7 o'clock Eastern time on Daystar Español. Daystar Spanish is nationwide, and 6 p.m. Central. And also, you can find us on our social media platforms at Voz Media USA. We have all our content available in Spanish and English.
And if you're a honky like me, it's voz.us, voz.us. If you know anybody who speaks Spanish, if you know anybody that has been saying, when are we going to reach out to the Hispanics? It's happening now. And anything that we can do to support you, we are in with you. Thank you so much.
We really appreciate it.
It's an honor to have you in the building.
It's an honor to be here with you guys.
Thank you
so
much.
God bless you. God bless you too.
voz.us begins tonight.